Hello, this is Irregular from Breaks, and in this video we'll be looking at, or basically saying, revisiting the breakout sections. I've already created a similar video in the past, but I wanted to revisit it again today and just look at the breakout sections using the advanced themer framework. There are still people that struggle with using breakouts and understanding how they work, so I thought I'll just make a video again, revisiting it again and looking at the different breakout options that you have to your disposal and how you can actually achieve building them. Once you actually understand it, it's not that hard to do. And this video will just be looking at it using the advanced themer framework and also using the advanced themer container variable, which I actually like. I like when CSS frameworks provide a container variable, because you'll see why later. I will also show you why it's also handy to have a container variable. Okay, let's jump right in. As you can see, I've already set up the structure. I've skipped the class creation process. Normally I do that in my video, but I just wanted to skip that for now, and just the class is already added. Let's just jump right in. I'll start with the container element, which we will set to grid. We can also use flex here, by the way, but the reason why I'm using grid is because it automatically, like if I set it to 2 column, it automatically splits it in 2 columns, whereas with grid, it will actually push the image, or to almost fill the whole screen with the image, and you have to give every separate element a width, and that's just more styling. So I normally use the CSS grid for the structure, and I use flex more for the content, right? So let's say like this section, this element, I'll use flex here, right? So without further ado, let me continue. So we've added a gap here. Do I need a gap? I don't need a gap. Can add maybe a gap later. 2 column, center this for now. On the content, I don't need to do much. On our media, I'll set this to 100% because we will need that as I add a height to my section later. I just wanted to fill the whole height. As for your image, okay, this 69, cool. Layout, oh, let me just reference that. I added an aspect ratio of 16/9. And the layout here, I'll add a 50 viewport width and 50 viewport width. Why? Because it will break out the element out of its parent container. So that's how you actually achieve this. So we'll just set our height to 100%, and we're basically not done. Okay, next step is to set our hero. Let's go to our section. The padding on the top to 0. Padding on the bottom, we set it to 0. And I actually give this a height of 860 pixels. And our container, we also set it to a 100% height. So now we basically have our traditional breakout section. As you see, it has broken out. And now the next thing that we want to do is let's go to mobile landscape. Yes, I'm having some issues on the mobile landscape breakpoint. I still have no solution for this. It actually doesn't display my responsive options. You see, I set it to 1 and it's showing nothing. I really have to go to the width. I set this to 766 for me to see the result, which is a little bit annoying, but we're just rolling with what we have now. I have another install with advanced themer where everything works perfectly. So I think there's something wrong with this install, but we can just work around it. No biggie. I'll add a grid gap here, so there's some spacing, and I want my image, my media, to be on top. So I'll add an order of -1. Here we go. And I want the image, which is now set to 50 viewport width, to be, I want it to fill the whole width. So I set it to 100 viewport width. And now, as you can see, it's now breaking out the screen, which is causing an overflow. I will have to add a overflow heading to the hero section later. But let's finish this up. To make this center, we add a -50 viewport width here and set this to important to override the margin settings there. And then we set the left to 50% and it fills the whole width. As you can see, the overflow is here, but on desktop, if we go to the front, and see, I need to save, or I think you already saw it, it's there. So on our hero, we set the overflow to hidden and we're good. Here we are. Let me just add some spacing to the left side. This may be a little bit less. Well, it's okay. Obviously, I will need to remove it here. So we're just gonna set this. So that's done. Let's check that out. It's looking good. And on my hero here, instead of 860, I want it to be 100%. And I want my container to set to start instead of here it's set to center, and on mobile landscape I want it to be set to start. You can obviously play with the height of your image here if you want. You can also opt to change the aspect ratio, so it might, instead of 16:9, you might say 4:3. It could also be 1:1:6:4, so it's a little bit higher, right? There we go. Looking good. So this is the traditional breakout section that you would see. It's breaking out of its of the media element, and this is the first level. Now you might want to go for like an alternate situation where the media element is on the left side and the content is on the right side. Now you could just switch them around. It will look like this, and this is not what you want. So you would think, oh, it's an easy thing, just switch it and you get what you want. No, you don't. There's still some other tweaks that you need to make, although it's just a simple tweak. It's actually just a single setting and you're actually done. But thinking that you can do it this way is not the way to go about it. And even if we did it this way and set the setting, it's still not obviously correct because you've actually moved your content in the DOM. You've moved it on the media. So what does this mean? Let me see if it saved it. So what does this mean? Look at how it even looks on desktop. It's covering your content. So if you go to the code right here, so let me show you real quick. You see our media is in front of our content. Now we want our content to be on top. Why? Because we want it to read our H1 element is super important because this needs to be read to determine the page, you know, the title of the page. So we want this to be read first. So instead of moving it manually in the code, we want to just put it back first and just use the order property and set it to -1. So now we get the same effect, but we get this in the code. Your content is still in the same place, and this is what we want, and your media is now on the bottom. So this is the correct way to do that. So now that that is set, just wanted to show you guys that real quick. Go to your media element, and the default setting of your block is your align items are set to start. It's not highlighted, but it's set to start. So you want this to be set to end, which will in turn push the image to the left side. That is what we want right now. So, which is what we're going to do. So we set this to end and your problem is fixed. But we now have a problem here because your content is touching the image and we don't want that. So we set the spacing to the other side and we remove this spacing, and I would have to adjust it here on the lower breakpoints and set this again because we don't want that spacing here. And obviously I need to make changes here again, which I will do. So let's go to our media. Let's see, obviously our image. And now that we've set it to end, it's actually displaying on the right side, but we just set it back to start and we're good to go. And everything should be okay again. So that's that. So now we've done the other side. As you see, there were some tweaks that we needed to make also on the lower breakpoints. And by setting this to align items end, it actually pushed the image to the left side, which we wanted, and just makes a little bit of tweaks to make this look, you know, we added some breathing space so it looks okay, which is cool. So the next step is creating an irregular breakout, whereas the image takes up like 2/3 of the screen, or more or less, depending on how you whatever you're looking for, right? So how can we achieve that? I'm going to just reset everything that we did. So I'm going to push this back and put this back to start. I'll have to see what I did here on this is not necessary anymore. Let's go see the image. What did I change? I changed there. Okay. The content. Just reset this. I'll just leave this like this. I'm not making any changes there. Now, to start with I'll call it just an irregular layout. There are two ways we can do it. We can just do it using 2 columns. So your CSS grid set to 2 columns, or we can also do it with your CSS grid set to 12 columns or 24 columns, and then using the grid column and grid row to actually determine how far we want our images to come, and the content, so that they can overlap each other. So I'll just show you first I'll show you using 2 columns, and then I'll show you using 12 columns, so you can see the difference. And you can also see that there are just multiple ways of doing this. Okay. What we want to do is, first of all, remove 50 VW here, also here. So now it's set to normal again. Because remember, just draw it real quick, our goal is to make sure that it starts here and moves all the way somewhere here. And here's where we're going to use the advanced steamer container variable. So this is what we want. We want this to fill this whole space. And as this now, it's not going to work. So let's get started. On the media, we set our media to 50 viewport width and also 50 viewport width. And now, obviously, once it comes to the lower breakpoint, we'll have to fix this. But we'll get to that. Let me just save real quick. Let's go to our image. Our image is set to, we need to add the calculation here. We're going to use the calc function and also use the container variable. If you're thinking of where the container variable is, you can find it here on the CSS variable manager. We have it here at site box max width, or you can find it in your theme style settings container and just copy it from here. So I copied it, I come back to my image, I go to CSS, root. I'm going to add the calc here. So we'll say inline size, which is your width. That's a logical property. Say calc. So we're going to say 50 viewport width. So this is 50 viewport width. Let me just emphasize it again. This is the 50 viewport width. So we're going to do this. We're going to add plus 3 extra columns or whatever this space should be, or more, whatever, how far we want it to be, right? So this is the calculation we're doing here. To get that calculation, we need to take the container. I'm going to divide it in 12, which will give me the width of 1 column, which I will do times a number. Could be 3, could be 4, how many columns I want, right? So that's actually the calculation we're doing here. And then whatever that outcome is, we're going to add it to the 50 viewport width. So viewport width here plus And here I'm going to drop in the variable. I'm going to divide it by 12, like I said. And we're doing it times, it could be 3. Let's just start with 3. Okay, so nothing happens yet. We're going to go and also add the max. So we also do it to the max width. Max inline size. And you see something happened. As you see, something is happening, but we're not there yet. It's causing overflow and everything. So what we want to do now is go back to our media. And like I said before, when we added it to the left side, it's set to start now. So it's pushing the image this way. But if we set it to end, right, you need to push the image this way. This is what we're going to do now. Setting it to end, as you can see, pushes the image the other way. So let me just go back to let's go to the code again. And as you can see here, we've done it times 3, and we have this. Let's look at this on the front. So all this stuff is, because I can see it here. Look, okay, here we can see it better. As you can see, it's breaking out, and now it's covering the left side. So let's bring the left side in front by going to content, set this to relative, and set this to z index of 1. Now our content is on top. Let's go to the front, see how it looks. Yes, perfect. I don't like the way it's displaying. I can't really see. I think I have quite a large screen. My screen resolution is 1900, which is quite large, right? Anyways, here we can see what we have done now. We have exactly what we set out to do. And now we have to fix this on the lower breakpoints. So we go here and it's a whole mess, or not. Here we go. I will have to create a media query on the, let's see on this. Let me remove all this stuff. Forgot to remove it. This stuff should go away. Let's start with the media because this one is set to 50 viewport width. Just 100 viewport width, 100 viewport width, and this should be this 50 viewport width, and set this to 50%. Okay, it's centered again. So what I want to do is also fix the image. So I'll just create a media query. I'm thinking, no, I have to do that. I was thinking maybe I should create a min width, but let's use a max width 7 pixels. And I'm just going to copy over this, put it here, and then set this to 100%, and also set this to 100%. Oh, look at this. This is even wrong. Wow, there's an error here. Wow. Okay, so as you can see, let me just go to the front so we can see it better. See how it looks responsive wise. It's quite large. Okay. Okay, so we have this set now, and I'm just looking, something is not correct. It's not supposed to fill the screen. I need to check real quick if I've made. I just saw a typo. I just removed it. There might be something. Right here. See? Yeah, there was a typo because this is how it's supposed to behave. See, it stays on the same spot, whereas it was moving to the other edge of the screen, and then it pops. Yeah, perfect. Okay, we finally got that to work. The next step, what we want to see now is actually, okay, you can actually make this refactor this a little bit by just creating a you can create a locally scoped variable. I'll just put it here, we'll call it image size, which will have this value, and then we just take image size, just add it here. Here we go. So we can do it this way. Why am I doing it this way? Because I only need to change it in one place, because maybe I created this locally scoped variable, or I had this calculation where I use maybe multiple times on the page, and I would only need to change it on one spot and it's changed everywhere. Make any tweak or anything. So what kind of tweaks would you be making? It would basically just be to like how far you want the image to come. So if I say 2, or if it was 4, or if it was 5, or if it was 6. And if you notice, 6 stops right at the edge of the end of the container, because it's the other half, because that's basically the half of the container. Whereas 1 starts, or you can say 0 starts in the middle, as you can see. And then 3 is in the middle. So this is like, this would be like 3/4 of the container size. So we have our image where we want. It's looking good. I could choose to add a background to the content. I could add a overlay to the image. Real quick, let me just add an overlay. Do things like this, then just pop in the T1. Here we go. Here we just give this a space, background, white, and it's readable again. It's more accessible this way. There we go. And obviously I might have to, yeah, okay, we have a padding. I could remove the padding here, remove the white, but I'm just going to leave it this way. So this is how, this is the one way of doing this, right? As I already said before. The second way is actually, instead of 2 columns, we switch this to 12 columns. Obviously to break stuff, no problems, no biggie. We will have to then, I'm just going to leave all the calculations there. We'll just have to fix this as we go. I'll move this as to go, so that it's, at least you can see what we're doing here. So I've set this to 12 columns now. So what I want to do is I want this to overlap each other. So on the grid column, I'll say our column should go from 1 to 5 or 6, maybe 7. 7 is good. And our media should go from, let's say, 4 all the way to -1. So -1 is the end. And we want this to be on the first row, but I also want my content to be on the first row. So now it's overlapping each other. And let me just remove the code so that you would actually see how it would look like without the breakout. It's actually now overlapping, right? And I'll actually have to wait. Let me take away the 50 viewport width. Wow. This is how it would look if you did not add any extra thing to it. So we actually have our effect here, but it's not, obviously it's not breaking out to the edge of the screen. You could go further. You could have, obviously you could set your container width to 100%, remove your sections padding, and then make sure that your whole, actually the whole width, the whole full width is a whole grid, and then you fix it, you put it on its place. But yeah, we want to just work with the container width and make sure that everything is nice in the middle. And now here, yeah, you could then, obviously I could add my code here and it breaks out. See, so this is the second way of doing it. And now here we have to fix this. Okay, so how do we do that? Because this is something that you run into too. So we go to the content and we say, okay, this has to be on the second row, right? And we want this to span, I'll say span 1. Why? Because I'm changing the container back. The container is set to 1 column here. So it's not 12 anymore, it's 1. And on our media, we'll have to also say this is 1, and also on the first row. So it's fixed now. There you have it. I actually didn't need to add a 1 because it's already set to 1. So it's also fixed. So there you go. Second way how to do it. It's also pretty simple to do it. Okay, simple. I hope what I did was clear enough and just actually showcase. The main goal of this video was to do the, obviously show you the breakout, but also to show you how to use how we're using the container variable right here. And we added some locally scoped variables to make it easier to maintain, to manage this, to manage what we did here. So I can always come back here and change. Oh, see, we need to set this to, it's moving from the other side. We need to set this to end, the media. So set this to end. And obviously to destroy, well, I hope everything I was doing here. Yeah. So, okay, I know what the problem is. You don't need to, you don't need to do that because we're using the 12 columns. That's the issue here. You don't need to do that. Actually, this version, let me just clear this up. Using it this way, if you use this method, what we actually calculated here is exactly the space from the, because this is overlapping each other, it's actually moving from here all the way there, right? So if I set this to end, it will only shrink back or to move further. So if you use this method, if you're using the overlapping method, you would also have to change the, what's it called? So let's say, for example, I will just give you an example. If I say I want to, where is it? Here. So if I set this to 3, right? So it's I moved it 1 column further. So it's 3. So we have space here now. So that means that here I would have to change this to 4 so that it fills it up again, right? Then we can keep on going. So if I set this to 1, okay, 1 will not be really. So 2, I would have to come back here, set this to 5. So you see what we're doing? We have our calculation here, and we can just fill up the gap if you want this to move a little bit further. So I would eventually say I actually like the other method because I just need to make a change here. Here I need to make the change in 2 places, which is quite annoying. But yeah, it's just important to just understand how it works. So if this was 5 or something, this would need to be, I think to be 2. Yeah. So that's it. I hope this was another fun video. It was educational. Please leave your comment behind. Like this video so that others can see it too. To be nice if others can see it. If it's pushed to others to see it. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know. This same blocks that you see here, obviously we have them in the alpha template for Advanced Theme Framework. You can all find them here. Let me just search it real quick. a very large collection, so sometimes it takes a while to load. As you can see, we have different kind of hero sections. So the ones that I've built, we have some here, right? We have the, as you can see, we have the overlapping sections here. Here, no, here's the full width ones, right? This one is the left side, this one's the right side. We have the overlapping ones here. These uses the grid, by the way. So it uses the 12 column grid. We use that here. And we have different kinds of different kinds of sections. And we have obviously different categories. And you can all just pull them in and use them as you want. Come on. What's going on? Okay, here we have different content sections all built that you can use immediately. So if you're interested in the product, you can always go and take a look. Thank you for watching. Oh, by the way, we'll soon have a free version, so you can test it out. We already have a free version, but it's more the vanilla CSS, automatic CSS, and core framework. But advanced theme framework will soon be ready, so you can also just sign up for a free version. But thanks for watching anyways. I'm looking out to hear what you guys think. Have a nice day, and more videos are coming. Thank you, and bye-bye.